is there any way that if a client works with a staffing agency,
If a client works with a staffing agency that is maybe putting in wrong codes or not having proper insurance, and that staffing agency gets audited or something happens, could that client have any legal repercussions, or are they tied in at any point that could affect them?
Yeah, so, in that end, yes. What happens is that oftentimes the client that hired the staffing agency, they are held responsible because you guys are pretty much like contractors. The way you guys, your contracts, as I insure contractors as well, it's the same thing. You hire on the vendor and that's a co-employment. So when the client hires the staffing agency, they are held accountable like, hey, I'm bringing this person in. You sign, the staffing agency signs off the contract saying, yes, I'm going to be held liable, and if anything were to happen, I'm going to make you full. But if that person does not have insurance, then that goes back into the client, and now the client is held wholly responsible for that. So it's happened in many situations where a client has brought in a staffing agency and they were not insured or not properly insured. It happens at restaurants, warehouses, and now they're stuck with an EPLI claim, a workers' comp claim, and it gets messy because now the client can no longer go after the staffing agency because they were never insured, or that staffing agency decides to change names and now there's someone else. What happens is that they dissolve it, and it's unfortunate. Just like Vanessa was saying, I think there is a change, but I also believe that this change needs to come from our state and our government, and the way that the California regulates contractors, they should be regulating staffing agencies. They should be collecting a certificate of insurance every year to verify workers' comp, GL, and make sure that this person's legitimate. And they need to, I feel like that's a stand that the state and the government needs to do.
It's not on.
Is that on? Okay. What you guys are talking about is a beautiful segue into something I was just thinking about. Why the PAC is so important. Because companies are trying to survive and they're cutting corners and they're making deals that they should be making, and they're entertaining stuff that maybe they wouldn't have done in the past. So it's the state that's creating this, and we have to fix it, and the PAC is going to help that. So it just proves that this is all tied together. That's all.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement because it's really frustrating. It's frustrating it's seeing the corruption that's going on, seeing how easy it is for someone to get away with it. Like you guys have seen, there's companies that come up, rebuild, close it down, do it again, and it's just continuous. It's not until someone makes it up, they've done corruption of millions of dollars in the IRS and goes, okay, let me tap into that. Or they messed up on the claim and somehow that cat got out of the bag and they're like, okay, well, we gotta kind of fix this and show that we care. But I'm in total agreement with the state and the government making a change for this.
Until then, though, it's really up to us. Until then, we have to start doing things right ourselves first and educate our clients, right? And I think it's making sure that we do have the right processes, procedures, insurance that we carry, and also treat people as people, right? Because at the end of the day, that co-employment is somehow somebody's going to pay for it, whether that be you or your client. And so it really is a true partnership. And when I say a true partnership, I partner with a lot of CEOs and business owners. They got to hear the hard truth. And sometimes those difficult conversations are difficult to have, but they got to have it. We have to have it because a true partner will call it out, right? And sometimes we don't. We just need to educate. And that means this is what you need to ask that agency for. I am going to be a true partner with you. This is what I can show you and prove to you today. I would really encourage you to ask the same for that other agency because that's where the relationships start, from the get-go. Once you have that type of conversation with that potential client, and the client said, wow, you were right, trust me, your word is huge. Now you really have a true partner. You're looking out for each other, right? And that means they're going to be open to your suggestions. You're going to be open to their suggestions. And therefore, that's what a true partnership is all about. We have the best at heart for each other. And that in California, it's not only financially, but it's so many different other areas that can affect us, right? So the whistleblower, we're in this together. It can happen to any of us, right? That's why doing things right from the get-go, even though it's painful and costly, is the way to do it. It really is. We just gotta be smart enough to budget in, be forthcoming, showcase exactly what we're doing right, and educate our clients and partners, right?
Yes.
So did you have a question?
No, it was just more of a follow-up comment. Because what you're saying like definitely resonates, I think, with the entire room, and especially about being in front of a customer that you're competing against a market that you know is not legitimate. Good news, bad news, as far as what we're seeing, is that one, the state of California, to your point,